what he didn't say, actually.
What is the business page we're streaming to you for you, Carrie?
Carrie Griggs Realtor.
Cool. Fantastic.
Right? Okay.
Oh my God.
Thank you. You're a key team member, I can tell you.
You know what? I'm going to go like your page. There we go. I don't know if I did before.
Most times I have to run things by her and be like, is that right?
That's good.
Yep.
That
What was that, Jude?
looks good.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll here on the program. We got Carrie Griggs in the house. I like his style already. We got Rob Perry in the house. I like his style as well. Nikki Chambliss on a Monday has put together yet another fantastic panel.
Thank you.
Give the show a like and a share anywhere you guys are watching. We will talk real estate with 3 stakeholders in this community on Real Talk. Keith Smith, I believe, what is he doing? Is he working on his broker's license?
Oh, that was like the last 2 Mondays.
Okay.
So maybe he's working on the testing for it,
Yeah,
though,
he's probably
'cause,
doing the testing.
I mean, because that's not a bad plan right now.
Doing the testing.
You got to
for
do it
broker's
right away or
license.
it's never going to happen. Trust me, I
Yeah.
speak from experience.
Are a lot of Keller Williams folks doing this right now?
Yeah, we had,
Yes.
we hosted a class. Donna Patton, our broker, taught it, and she's an excellent. She teaches all around the state. But
Agreed.
yeah, we had a bunch of KW people in there, and Carrie was in there. I was in there, Keith, and then we had a couple people from other brokerages.
John
as
and
well.
Maureen Russell were in there.
Yeah, taking advantage of. So yeah,
That's good.
great opportunity, and now all that required is actually passing the test. So.
Fantastic. So we'll rock and roll. Judah Wickhauer is our director. We can start the program when you are ready, sir.
Oh, there he is.
It's,
Guys, good Monday morning. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk here on the I Love Seville Network. We are live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, right here on the I Love Seville Network, presented by Keller Williams Alliance. Today's program is going to be absolutely dynamite. Very excited to welcome 2 new friends of the program today, and Rob Perry and Carrie Griggs. You're going to see them in a matter of moments. Before we do, Judah Wickhauer, let's go to the 2-shot, and let's welcome Nikki Chambliss to the program on a Monday. Good morning, Nikki.
good morning. Another marvelous Monday here on Monday Market Monitor, and I'm so excited to be back.
How are you?
I'm really good. It's been a crazy weekend. Some are more so than others, but this one just, trying to step up, help my agents when they need it, have a performance sometimes every now and then on a Friday or Saturday, and show up here caffeinated and ready to rock.
Ready to rock. Well said. Great answer right there, Nikki. All right, let's go to the 4 and welcome a true cast of characters, and Carrie Griggs and Rob Perry. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Very
Good,
well.
good.
Good morning.
Let's start with Rob. Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching.
Okay, I'm Rob Perry. I am a realtor with Keller Williams Realty. I am native to Charlottesville. Been here my entire life. With Keller Williams for about 15 years. My lovely wife, Maureen, and I have a team. And if she's out there listening, I love you, sweetie. And it's I love this town. I love real estate. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you. Carrie, the show is yours, my friend.
All right, I'm Carrie Griggs. I'm an agent with Keller Williams. I've been here for 18 years now. Come from Oklahoma. I met my wife. She was the girl next door. Since I've been here, been in construction for 15 years until I decided to become a real estate agent. Some of the things I like to do around the Charlottesville area is I play rugby with the Virginia Men's Rugby Club, so that is my passion here. And yeah, real estate, number 1.
How'd you get into rugby?
You know what? I was on a job site and I met a guy. I was like, wow, you're a big dude. I was like, do you play any sports? And he's like, yeah, I play rugby. I was like, man, I wish I could play rugby. And he was like, you can. I said, well, I'm too small. They might crush me. He's like, nah, there's a place for everybody. I said, all right, I'll try it. Went out there and it was like 15 friends as soon as I walked on the field.
Fantastic. Rob, some passions and hobbies for you.
So I grew up on a farm, and I still like doing stuff like that, being outdoors. I am a private pilot. I love to fly.
Nice.
What?
That's awesome.
Keep a little airplane out in Gordonsville hangared, and in the rare occasion where weather and schedule allow, I get out there. That's why I was looking at the winds a few minutes ago, see if maybe I'd sneak out there today. But yeah, so just enjoy the outdoors a lot.
Your wife's name?
Maureen
Maureen.
Hegarty, H-E-G.
She just gave us the heart emoji.
There you go.
Maureen.
My job is done. I can go.
We love her
Maureen,
too.
hello. Welcome to the show. So you got a rugby standout and a pilot today on the program.
Yes. We have way more interesting people than you know.
Well,
yeah.
We got to touch on that.
And I just learned she has a band, and I didn't even know.
I'm in a band. Trey has a band. It's Cake Fight, and it's fun.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
it
it's
was
for
great.
adults like who have responsibility and kids in life, and it's hard to find that match of being able to pull this off, right? And we do. It's really cool.
Very cool.
She
Very
put on
cool.
a show
fun.
on Friday. It was a great show. My whole family went. We had
yeah,
fun.
his whole family was there.
Yeah, we were breaking.
So they surprised
They were all
me.
in the mosh pit. I saw.
They
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, those
was
two
great.
boys, they're going to be future rockers at all sorts
Yeah.
of concerts.
Yeah.
Tell us
Watch
about the
out.
show before we talk real estate, Carrie.
You know what? It was a great show. There were a good amount of people there, and we got out there on the dance floor. And once one person gets out on the dance floor, it's just kind of contagious, and they
takes.
kept on rocking all night.
I
Yeah,
love
well, and Carrie was there, and Donna Patton, our managing broker, was there, and Candace Cox, one of our awesome agents, was there. Jay Hurdle showed up. He lives in the neighborhood, and he and I had talked about music before. I was very surprised that he and his wife showed up and helped start a dance floor situation. We like
Well,
to have fun and show up for each
Dance
other.
party.
Keller Williams leading the charge, guys, from an entertainment standpoint. All right, guys, let's talk real estate. Rob, we'll get you in the mix here. 2022, a market of rising rates, tight inventory, and I could certainly say a seller's market extraordinaire. Perhaps that is maybe, we hope, becoming more of a balanced market as rates increase and as we hope more inventory comes on the market come spring. Anywhere you want to go on 2022?
Well, yeah, and I think you hit all the points. Rates are up dramatically over the last year, and they're up significantly just this year. Inventory is still tight, but it is spring, and traditionally there's going to be more homes, and we're already seeing that. I would hope that the increase in inventory will lead to a stabilization of prices, because we're seeing like double-digit percentage increases month over month of home values. But rates are going to be a problem, particularly for first-time or entry-level buyers. But there are ways to work through that, and I think that the thing that I want to put out there to everybody is that it's not an impossible market. It's just a different market, and it's a changing, shifting market. And you just have to arm yourself with a lot of information and the right people, and there's still plenty of opportunity to be successful.
Carrie, jump in here.
Yeah, I agree with Rob. I mean, it's our job as agents to talk to our buyers early and often and educate them for the process that's yet to come. I think there are many ways to win in this market. I look for outside ways to help my buyers, especially first-time home buyers. There's for sale by owners where they're not having to compete as much. There's new construction. There's FHA 203K loans that you can do if you want to be in a desired area and you're not finding the inventory that you want. I mean, maybe look at some of these houses that need a little bit of repair and kind of arm your buyers with the possibility of doing an FHA 203K loan.
Mm-hmm.
Offer some explanation, a little more insight into that.
So, an FHA 203K loan is a renovation loan, and so if you're not having the best of luck competing in this market, maybe you can reach out to some of the sellers that no longer live in the area. I've seen a couple of houses that have just been kind of abandoned, and then they have the opportunity to go in there and make it their own. Or maybe even somebody that is looking for a much larger house. We call it a pop top in the construction world. Okay, so it's a ranch style home now, but guess what? You could tear the rafters off that thing, add a second story, and then put a new roof on it, and then you get the square footage that you want in a desired neighborhood that you may want to be in or need to be in.
Great take. Carrie, dropping knowledge right here. Nikki Chambliss, what is it
Yes.
about these agents that are making them successful and offering a lot of value to this community?
Oh, seriously. I mean, truly, the being tied in. We're in an office space where we talk about these things all the time. We have conversations about what the market is, where it's going, how we can best help our clients. And I think that being tied into each other, because I learned from Rob and Carrie, like at least every other day, right? I don't see them every day because, sometimes they're out flying, playing rugby, or helping clients, right?
Those things.
But like multiple times a week, I learn from these guys and many of the other guests we've had on the show, right? And they learn from me and they learn from each other. So being able to have that is huge. I can't imagine being in this by myself,
Absolutely. Very well said. So Rob, we'll get you in the mix. This market, do you expect inventory to loosen? You see it coming on this spring?
Well, I do. It's just a matter of how much. I think that you have to consider that the rates have been so low for so long. And even though historically hovering under 5 is still a great rate, it is a bit of a shocker. But one of the side effects of that is that a lot of people that are in their homes and have been in their homes for a long time refied. And so now they're like, I can sell my home for more than I ever dreamed, and I have to, find something, and then I'm going to have a rate that's maybe 2 points higher than where I refied at. And so people are going to have sort of evaluate like what's important to them. Is getting closer to the grandkids more important, even if it's going to cost them a little more? And to Carrie's point about 2 or 3K, and I think buyers can evaluate what's really important to them, because I know you walk into a house and in a perfect world everything's done and it's got granite countertops and new cabinets and nice flooring, but that's secondary to being maybe where you want your kids to go to school or the neighbor, and those are things you can fix over time. So maybe you just reset your wish list a little bit, to have a moment to kind of talk to yourself and say what's really important here, what has the most gravity, and then reset and go in that direction, because there is still plenty of opportunity and the rates are still historically low.
Rob,
Yes, what?
great answer.
Yeah,
amazing.
I love
Yes.
that one.
Dude,
That is a
Rob's
great
on point
answer.
right now.
I'm trying.
What's the buyer, what's your client profile like, Carrie?
I work primarily with buyers. I find that there's more gratitude in that, and they just appreciate it a lot when you're able to get them a home of their dreams, or even in a location that they want to be in. I work with both sellers and buyers, but I really find it rewarding to work with buyers when you capture that deal. You lose a couple of transactions here and there, or lose a couple offers, but when you secure that one and it's really the ideal home, I always tell them that it's going to work out for a reason. There's a reason that this home did not work out, because the next one's going to be even better.
Did you guys see obviously we know tough market right now for buyers, tight inventory. Mm-hmm. There was, Bill McKenzie sent me this over the weekend. It was the Holderness family. They did that. Did you see the YouTube video
Yes.
of them?
I'll share it with you guys later.
You know what I'm talking
yes,
about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So the buyer's agent is a dynamic that I respect tremendously, and you guys are both talented all three of you guys talented at what you guys do. What'd you make of that Holderness video with the buyer's agent?
Like, it's lovely, and truly, and she had done one like the year before that was similar. But then, like a year ago, there were a lot of people who were thinking that this year the market would have been easier. Not everyone, but some were saying that, and of course everyone's hopeful, right? Yet it's not. It's harder, and sometimes that can be really discouraging and frustrating. But that video kind of, it shows, hey, it's really hard. And if you don't have reasonable expectations, there's not much we can do. And it took it to an extreme where the buyer was like, and it was her, right? Her on both sides, which is how they do their videos. She's the agent, and then she's also the buyer dressed differently. And she's like, yeah, so like, if I wait a little bit, then it'll be better, right? I can get something cheaper and you can find me a deal, and that kind of mentality, right? It is definitely not verbatim. I do not do verbatim. I nickify everything I do.
Well,
So, and it was, and at the end she's like, hey, I did one of these a year ago. It's really hard out there. Realtors are doing an amazing job doing the work you do. Buyers hang in there. Like, it was really neat because she ended it with this whole like real clip of, hey, we know it's hard.
Yeah.
You
And
wanted
she's
to
not
say
in
something,
real
Rob.
estate.
Well,
as far
I was
as I
just
know.
thinking that, because, and it always has been in the States and probably will be, the greatest path to wealth building is home ownership,
Yep.
real property. And so when you're talking to buyers and they're a little bit, frustrated, understandably, or nervous about the way prices are going and the way rates are going, if they can get in, and most can find a way, and
Yeah.
Carrie outlined a lot of great ways to look at that. It's still, if you're looking long term, you have to do it, because it's the way you are going to launch yourself over the course of your life, and it's the way you're going to have the opportunity to pass something on to future generations. And so a little bit of pain now still pays tremendous dividends long term.
Well said,
much.
especially with, Carrie, you jump in here on this. Our friend of the program, Neil Williamson at the Free Enterprise Forum, was highlighting how rents were upticking.
Yeah.
13% year over year rents have upticked.
I tell people all the time, I said, yeah, okay, so the interest rates are rising on home ownership, right? So two things. One is once you lock into a 30-year mortgage, kind of it's a fixed rate. Your property taxes and escrows may go up here and there, but it's a fixed rate. You can count that, you can budget that. If you buy a rental or if you are renting, the interest rate on that's 100%, right? You're not getting that money back. And so you might as well be a homeowner, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well said. Do you think, follow up on this topic, we have, and I try to highlight this often on the show, you got UVA admitting more students than ever before, UVA hiring more people than ever before this fall. You got the data science school that's close to opening. It's a $125 million world-class school that the gentleman across the street, Joffrey Woodruff, is doing. Okay? It's data science, which is one of the key industries that is undoubtedly booming. Everyone's going to need data science. I just don't see Charlottesville and in the Central Virginia area seeing any headwinds. I see, if anything, tailwinds driving positive momentum behind this area. So, there is no better time I have seen to invest or buy real estate than right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, your thoughts on this topic of how this is such a almost insulated market to some national and global trends, and how this market really, really, really has a lot of positives going for it from a brick and mortar and real estate standpoint. You want to start, Carrie?
Yeah, I think you're correct on that statement. With all the traffic that's being driven here in the Charlottesville area, I think homeownership is going to be essential to those that are looking to grow their wealth. I mean, I consider it wealth building. Like I said, it's a fixed cost budget that a homeowner can kind of put that in their budget model and know what their expenses are going to be versus a rental that, you're at the subject of the landlord. And that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I go back when Maureen and I got into the business. I think I got my license December of 07, which has
15
accounted
years for you, almost 15.
Yeah, and that that was right before the bust, and those were difficult times nationwide. And at one point, this is off the top of my head, so it's likely wrong, but I think short sales or foreclosure properties in the CAR footprint, Charlottesville, Albemarle area, were at 14%, 14 out of 100 homes listed, and values were plummeting and whatnot. But comparatively, and this speaks to what you were just saying about being an insulated area, compared to most of the rest of the nation, we were golden.
Yeah.
And we recovered more quickly, and and that's not to downplay the true hardship that many families felt for a long time, because there it was.
Yes.
But we were an insulated community, the hospitals, the DOD stuff, and the UVA. And I agree. I think that Charlottesville and the surrounding area, the other counties, is an absolute safe bet long term. And we won't even go into what happens when climate change pushes people inland, because this is already a destination city. But yeah, I think, we're people that live here, it's really, really favorable, even if prices are sometimes stay.
You're itching to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad that you mentioned that because it is. Charlottesville is a well-insulated area, or the surrounding areas. I was working for a builder at the time when I was in the construction industry, and I worked 6 days a week. We didn't slow down at all, and it was just a very insulated area, whereas when I watched the news, I noticed around the nation, it seemed to be slowing on the construction front and the home sale prices. But for us, we didn't feel it as hard as some of the other places, And so I felt like we were extremely lucky. And I feel that today as well. I look at, Facebook and YouTube and, you see a line of people around the corner trying to get this one particular house. And, it's tough. There's multiple offers on certain properties. But we're still selling and buying real estate nowadays. I mean, it's not impossible for a first-time home buyer to get a home. We just have to adjust our parameters just a little bit. Okay, so maybe you're not in this small little circle that you really, really desire, but if you expand your radius, you can still get a very desirable house for a great price without having to compete as hard as some of these other places in the nation are.
What do you think, Nikki?
I love that he just said at a great price, because I feel like that is one of the sticking points for a lot of people as they look at the prices and they're like, oh my gosh. And the reality is when you look at our area and the value and the way that it has remained steady because we are insulated, it's still a great price. And for still cheap money, even with interest rates going up, right? And that doesn't negate the challenge that these things cause for many people, like Rob had said earlier. We totally are aware of that. We feel that deeply and very personally because a lot of our clients, that impacts them very, very much.
Carrie,
And
I
still
see
not
something.
bad.
No.
Right up.
I like the conversation. I'm in here. I'm plugged in.
Yeah.
So comments are coming in fast and furious right now.
All right.
This is from Chuck Green.
Oh, Chuck.
Page.
Yeah. What's up, Chuck? How you doing,
On your
buddy?
page. Is he an inspector?
Yeah, he's an inspector.
Yep.
Okay, he's an inspector. What is the consensus for waiving home inspections to win the bid nowadays? Seems to be a dangerous practice. Can we please make home inspections great again? This is from inspector.
I just come from a home inspection with Chuck this morning. I encourage an as-is home inspection. Going into going into a purchase without a home inspection, I feel is a little bit risky. If you're not well knowledge in the construction industry, I feel like you need to have a home inspection. Now, I understand you need it to win a deal here and there, but there are other ways to win deals other than just waiving a home inspection. When I submit an offer, I let people know that I will do my best to get the buyers through the process. I have a construction background as well, so, there are some things that you can talk through with your client. Obviously, there's some certain things, if there's huge major issues, if the house is falling in the ground or the roof is caving in, those need to be addressed. But going in there without a home inspection or just waiving it, I don't advise that to my client. But that's just my personal preference. And if they do insist on doing it, okay, fine. Let's walk through this together. Or maybe even get your home inspector in there when you're walking through the house for the first time to give you kind of a general rundown. Is this going to be an issue? You schedule for an hour showing versus just a 30-minute showing, and then you have a home inspector coming alongside with you.
If you
That's
can
a
get an
good
hour.
If you can get an hour.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you can't. And the idea is amazing, though.
And I agree, home inspections are critical for the protection of the buyer.
Yes.
And in this market, you're seeing more and more of people doing as is, which I still think delivers a degree of protection that's acceptable as long as the buyer fully understands what they're giving up.
Yes.
And you do see no home inspection, and I think there's a couple of things to factor in there. One being, if it's a 4-year-old home that's lightly lived in, that was built by a reputable builder, and you're like,
that's different.
There are 10 other offers, and I need to pull out the stops, then you're fine. There are circumstances where, and I've had buyers, they wanted to waive a home inspection on a really iffy property, and I think I advised them against it, and ultimately that was the route we went. There are some times where it's okay not to be the winner. Like you do not want to, if there's a 200-year-old farmhouse that's lopsided and they're, there's all sorts of questions. That's not the one to waive the home inspection on.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be the guy that wins that battle by giving
No.
away all of your protections.
Though I will say, depending on the age of the house, one of the things that an old house it is a long-term relationship where you're
Yeah.
going to have to invest a lot, right?
Yep.
And it's made
You
it
know
this long,
firsthand.
right?
I know
Well, no,
firsthand.
I love old houses, and I've not actually. Well, I rented a house that actually we don't know the year it was built. It was either the very end of the 1800s or the very beginning of 19, because the records are a little unclear. That had been converted to a duplex, right, and over under. So that was an experience, but also it's made it standing this long through whatever tropical storms and derechos and whatever have come along. So I feel like there's a little hope there, but really you're not buying that as a property like you traditionally would, as viewing as an investment, because you're going to have to pour into that thing.
Yeah.
You know firsthand.
I've been
He
in
knows.
a turn of the century farmhouse / general store for the last 17 years.
Where? Roundabout.
The lovely town of Nortonsville, Virginia.
Okay.
And it has a lot to love about it. It is a tremendous charm and character, but it's like a second job that you pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's it's not for everybody.
It's a
Put it
labor
that
of
way.
love.
You mentioned a comment that I thought, Rob, was very well said. When you don't win every deal, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Keep putting that in perspective for us.
Okay, well, so it's very easy when you're a buyer. I'm speaking, arm's length, because buyers I've helped. It's very easy when you're like, you fall in love with this house and it's 10 offers and you don't prevail, and you've made a really good offer, and you fall in love with the next house and it's 10 offers and you don't prevail. And then you get to the third one and you're frustrated and you're exhausted and you're a little scared, and you maybe aren't thinking as clearly as you would under another circumstance, and you do things that aren't necessarily in your best interest. And I've seen it happen. I've been on the receiving end of those offers when I was listing a property more than once. And I've seen it going in that direction with my buying clients, and to date, I've been able to help them understand really what they were risking. But there are opportunities, and go back to my house, and I do love my house, and it serves our needs well, but I had no idea what I was getting into. It was pre-real estate. In fact, I got into real estate because of that house. It was pre-real estate, and so I had no idea what I was signing up for, and had the cards fallen differently, it could have been a major stumbling block for the entirety of my life. And we've managed it, and we've made significant improvements, but it could have been a real place to be tripped up with not a great exit strategy. And so you want to be, that's what I'm talking about. You just want to be careful.
How about the psychological aspect, Carrie, of working with buyers that have gone through, let's use it, you're a sports guy,
Yeah.
sports metaphor, striking out a few times.
Well, I'm kind of an extremely optimistic
You are.
person, so that works in my favor. And just encouraging buyers. I tell them all the time. I said, I have to make those uncomfortable phone calls anyway, right? Hey, I'm sorry, and I do it by phone call. I don't do it by text or email, because I want to be personable. I serve these clients, so I call them and I say, hey, look, guys, we didn't win this deal, but know that the next one is coming around the corner. And that may be the perfect ideal house. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with buyers that were frustrated and threw their hands up, and I said, just work with me here. Just know that it's coming around the corner, and that next two offers that we made, we come through. And each time, I don't feel like it's a failure if you don't win that. Each time you get a little bit better in your process, because us as real estate agents, we understand the process, and we do this day in and day out. But when you're explaining to a first-time home buyers, you're going to have to escalate your price a little bit. You're going to have to do an as-is home inspection. So when you're doing those things, especially with a first-time home buyer, they may be a little bit skeptical to follow that advice, but as they get through their process and each home that they view, they get a little bit more knowledgeable on the market, and they're like, okay, well, I'm comfortable with this. They've been able to make peace with that, as they go through the process and the more homes we view, they're able to understand the process. And when they do finally secure that deal, I've had them come back to me and say, Carrie, we're so glad that the other ones didn't work out, because we now have a home that we are truly happy with.
Yeah, I've yet to work with a buyer that, and this goes back years and years, that, they'd lose a house, they'd be outbid, and they'd lose a house and they'd be heartbroken. But when they were successful, you always hear that. It's like, I'm so glad we didn't get that, Main Street house because we've got this. You know? And so you just have to help people, over the bumps and keep their optimism up. Carrie's like, rock solid. Rock solid.
Dude, I love all you guys.
He is walking optimism. It's wonderful.
I know. He's like
it's great sharing.
I love
space
all
with
you
this
guys
man.
here. So this is coming in. So we're live, guys, on 15 Facebook pages, 15 Twitter accounts, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, LinkedIn. We're live everywhere here. And the questions are coming in fast and furious. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to your comments. Neil Williamson, we'll get to your comments here, I promise. This is one that Stephanie Wells Rhodes, hello, from Interstate Service Company. We love working alongside your family. You got 3 home inspectors. You got 4 real estate firms watching the program as we speak here.
Nice.
Social media for the good. Beth Dunlop Marcus and Ivy, hello, welcome to the show. Your wife loves Nortonsville, by the way. And okay, she loves Nortonsville. I feel like Maureen is just an incredible woman right here.
She is an incredible woman.
She is an incredible woman.
We love
very
Mo.
lucky.
All right, so this is what I want to throw to you guys here. Do you see a pocket in Central Virginia, Shenandoah Valley, that you want to spotlight or highlight? Donna Patton is saying this, which I think is a great comment from DP. We love you, DP. Drive until you qualify. The western end of Louisa is closer to Charlottesville than Crozet is. She's highlighting Louisa, which may be in some ways still slightly overlooked, although that's changing. How that's closer to the epicenter of employment, city of Charlottesville, than Crozet. So let's talk about these, like, I hate to use the word hidden gem because it's kind of a cliche, but these zip codes are little pockets that should be focused upon even more. Carrie, show us yours.
I honestly, when I was looking for a house, I live in the Fluvanna area, so when I was looking for a house, those are little pockets where you can still find value right there. And I say find value because that's truly what it is. You're close to the Charlottesville area, and when I was choosing a place to live, I was like, okay, well, where can I work, right? So I am close to Charlottesville, and I'm close to Richmond. So I could have went either direction to find employment before I became a real estate agent. And so I currently serve both of those areas as a real estate agent. I like both of those MLSs. So there are values there. I mean, Ruckersville, Louisa, Gordonsville. I mean, those are short drives into Charlottesville. When my clients say, I want to be 30 minutes within Charlottesville, I'm like, okay, well, in which direction? They say, I don't care. Great. All right, so that radius is now a great little point that I can choose, and it's not just me thinking that there's value there, but when they're looking at home prices and they say, okay, well, if I go west, it's about 15% more for the same exact house than it is east or maybe even south. So I think there's a lot of potential on the west, north, and east end.
Paul MacArthur Avenue says
Hey, Paul.
Troy is one of my favorite pockets.
Nice.
Rob, jump in here this topic.
Well, I think Paul's right. Troy is great. Pretty much any of what we would consider the outlying towns. I like Gordonsville a lot because there's a cultural element there that because there's a downtown, and you can hop on 231 and be at Keswick and on that south end of town, or you can come down, I guess, 15 and 20 and be at Ruckersville, or on the north end of, it's very convenient. Troy is all but like being on Pantops at this point. Fluvanna's always been a strong performer, largely because of the lake, and I think we have to remember that as prices go up in our central, in Charlottesville, it's the rising tide lifts all boats. I think you're going to see values go up in those areas in a way that we haven't seen happen more quickly than we've seen in the past. Put it that way.
Well said. What do you think,
Yes,
Nikki?
well, so I think an area like Troy is amazing. I think we could highlight so many areas, but let's just go with Troy. Let's go with Gordonsville. Those are both kind of centrally located, depending on what direction you're driving, between Charlottesville and Richmond, right? And I don't know what you guys have run into, but I've seen multiple people who are, hey, this spouse works in Charlottesville, and this spouse is trying to work in Richmond. And that in-between area is wonderful, and you're right off 64 if you're in that Troy or in Zion Crossroads area, right? And if you're in Gordonsville, that is 30 to 35 minutes from where we're sitting right here. That's it.
Oh, you can be in
Right.
Fredericksburg in the blink.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, and we should really include Scottsville.
Scottsville
Because
is
again,
wonderful.
Scottsville has, the town of Scottsville. It
Downtown.
has stuff to do. It has downtown. It has neat shops. It has grocery.
Yeah.
Baines Coffee,
And
the
it's
B Place.
and it's like it's not a huge.
It's 18 miles
It's 18
south.
miles to the hub
On 20.
to the hub
Yeah.
of Charlottesville. Yeah, so.
Great take.
Yeah.
Jamie Turner, mayor of Gordonsville. Gordonsville is going to explode. A lot of projects in the works.
Yeah.
A lot already there. Happy to see what occurs in Gordonsville over the next 5 years.
And let me tell you, if you go and you want to take a look, go have some barbecue, go walk around. It is a lovely area. We
Yeah.
have so many wonderful areas that truly are 30 minutes away from this hub of Charlottesville. So you could live the Seville life and not pay the Seville prices.
Yeah,
right?
and I think, I used to live downtown years ago, downtown off of Wortland. And I worked north, like out past the airport. And with the lights, it was a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't as if 30 minutes would take you to some crazy long, where all you heard was like hoot owls and what. It was like you were still right in the hub because of traffic. So
Yeah.
a 30-minute drive with no lights from Scottsville or Gordonsville is cake.
Yes. Can I
Well-
tell you, at peak Charlottesville traffic, where I live off of 5th Street, it's about the same time of drive to go to the Lowe's in Charlottesville, which is less than 5 miles away, technically, as it is to go to the one in Zion Crossroads when we're at peak Charlottesville traffic.
So I live in Troy, or 5
Nice,
minutes
yeah.
away from Zion's Crossroads,
Yeah.
and it literally takes me 20 minutes to get to Pantops from where I live, maybe 23 minutes. But Gordonsville just depends. As a real estate agent, we drive a lot of roads, and so if you come down the Keswick way from Gordonsville, I mean, you can make it here in 20 minutes into Charlottesville. So it's we have to take that into consideration, like you
Throw
said.
a podcast on and learn something.
Yeah.
For real.
There you go.
Or you know
I
what?
like Rob.
If you like motorcycling, let me
Yeah.
tell you, living in some of these areas, you can legit hit the road and ride any direction. It's amazing. When I lived in Scottsville, I could go any direction and go any direction from there for many, many miles and never have a bad ride.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Sydney Durham. Is that Keller Williams in the
Oh,
house?
hey,
Oh,
Sydney.
nice.
Yes,
That
it
is Sydney.
is.
She
Sydney.
says, these are my lovely colleagues, and she's giving you guys some props right now.
Nice. Thank you.
We love when the agents watch the program. Daniel McDougall, we'll get to your comments. Quentin Beckham, we love you, QB.
Hey, Quentin.
Watch
Hey,
the
Quentin.
program here.
Yeah, buddy.
QB has positive praise for you. He says, just want to give a huge shout out to KGRP and NWC. I did the abbreviations
I
right
have to
there.
tell you, I was
Nice.
really
Yeah.
confused for a good 5
Yeah, yeah.
seconds, Jerry. Don't do that to
Thanks.
me.
We love all our KW agents.
How about this from Kevin Higgins? This is a good one right now. He says, if you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing? And he also asked this question. How did masks impact your sales strategy at the height of the pandemic? Did you have to pivot your approach on initial physical contact given the seller or buyer's faces were mostly covered? King of Greenwood, Kevin Higgins with 3 good questions. Carrie, why don't you start with that?
So if I wasn't in real estate, I'd still be doing construction. I'm all about houses no matter what, whether it's building them or selling them. For the pandemic, I stopped shaking hands and, more of, I have my director of operations. I do high fives now, so she hates it, but I love
in the house.
it. It's something that I like to do. It gets everybody excited, right? Who doesn't like a high five? But yeah, when the she doesn't like the high five. But when the pandemic came around, I did switch our business models just a little bit. I am a person that likes to see facial expressions.
Me too.
But you shift and you pivot. I mean, there's always an opportunity somewhere. And so with the pandemic, it slowed down a little bit. So vacant houses were really nice to go into, and we just didn't touch stuff. We left the lights on. So you just pivot and you do what you have to do in order to satisfy your client. And I think that's the biggest thing. We are here to serve the clients and help navigate them through these difficult processes, whether it be buying or selling. And, you know, with the seller side as well, you know, you had to make them aware that people are going to be walking through your house. So we do the best that we can, and we follow the protocols, and, you know, we put it in the MLS, wear masks, you know, if you have gloves or shoe coverings or whatever you have to do. But we just pivot, and we do what we have to do in order to be successful for our family and our clients.
Dude, great answer.
Yeah.
Same question for you.
All right, so what I would be doing in a perfect world would be something to do with aviation. I've been flying for years now, and I've always
He's
loved
got a
it.
plane.
Yeah, that's nice.
He's got a plane over
That's
here.
awesome.
It's like the Toyota Corolla of aircraft, though. It's not like
You still got a plane, dude.
It's still a plane, man. That's still pretty cool, man.
I love it. I'm not down on it, but I'm not throwing shade. But the and so as far as how COVID and masks and whatnot affect the business, much like Carrie said, I had a really difficult time with facial expressions. Connecting with people seemed to be more difficult, and I think people really as you know, as they get used to wearing masks and everybody had masks on, it was easier. But yeah, you just had to, you know, we were about our day to day because we were essential workers, and most people weren't. And so
Yes.
it was very easy to fall into this thing of like, it's business as usual. I'm just wearing a mask. And I would have to take a step back and go, this is very scary. This is very serious. We have a very heavy responsibility because we are allowed to be out and practice our
Yeah, you were essential.
we were essential
Yeah.
That's nice.
workers. And so it required constant reminders that just how much gravity was really associated with that and taking care of people. But it was really funny because as mask mandates loosened up, I would meet my clients for like the millionth time and finally see what I didn't even know it was them. You know, they'd take a mask off. I'd like, do I know you?
Yes.
But yeah, it was just being careful and being considerate.
I was really surprised by mustaches randomly popping on people's faces because I never imagined someone with a mustache. And then it was like, oh, you have a whole rest of your face?
Yeah.
Like
you
if-
look weird with that.
If you had beautiful eyes, that was your time.
Yes.
I know.
It's
Oh,
like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
much.
right.
Yep,
Absolutely.
totally. Yeah.
So what would you be doing?
So I don't even know because so here's the thing. When I was in high school, I really wanted to be a music teacher. But even then I knew, and this was what, I graduated in 98, right? So even then I knew that to pull off being the music teacher that I wanted to be, I had to like marry a doctor. Guess what I didn't do? I didn't marry a doctor. And I'm the sole provider for my household. So I can't afford to be a teacher. Even when I entered being a single mom for a while, like I had friends who were like, oh my God, you should be a teacher. You'd be great at it. And I was like, I would love that. And I can't afford to go that
Yeah,
route.
and that's a whole
I
nother
can't afford to be a
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
And they should be paid higher.
They should
Amen.
be
Oh,
paid
big time,
much,
right?
much higher.
Like, that's a whole, I don't
Show.
know, lifetime of conversation. That's way more than a show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then there's music, which I love. And I don't even, like, I love it so much that I could see myself doing it. And until recently, I've had kids that are young enough where I'm like, that's not a lifestyle I want to pursue. That's not something I even know that I could make money in. And right now I need to actually have an income and stability and be a mom, right? So that's important. I did driving a school bus for a while. I totally could have done that long term. I probably would have only done it until my kids were adults, and then I would have found a way to actually make money, right? But it had benefits, and it could have technically worked with my kids and their school stuff, except I didn't get a route. Not one with my kids on it. And I'm so glad I didn't, because it led me to doing other things that brought me where I am. And I would definitely be investing in real estate regardless
Right.
of working in it or not, because I've always known that was the way to go.
Real estate has created more millionaires than any other
Go.
profession. Just putting it out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
whether
real.
it be rental properties or just Airbnbs. I see that that's a big one now. I plan on having a couple Airbnbs myself next year. Or rental properties. I just think that it's a great wealth building tool. They're not making any more land. I mean, they can make just about any other product you want out there, but they're not making any other land. And people are being born every single day.
And you know what? There's space still. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's still opportunity. I've worked with an investor with a pretty quick interval the last few years buying property, and he is still able to buy in Charlottesville, the city of, properties that are move-in ready under asking, financed, if he chooses to go
Amazing.
finance.
Okay, let's go down that road.
Yes.
All right, that intrigues me.
Please.
Talk to us about that. Anywhere you want to go on investing?
Well, I think the only thing I would say on investing is I think anybody buying real estate, whether it's to live in or whatnot, has to always be thinking about their exit strategy, and their exit strategy should at least evaluate, can I turn this house into a rental when I buy the next one? Because holding property year over year builds wealth. And that's just, there's no, you can screw up on this instance or that instance, but overall, holding property and is just the way to build wealth. And it's not all about money, but it is about security, and it is about leaving something for your kids or the people you love. And you don't want to start thinking about this when you're 64.
Yeah.
You need to think about it from the day you are shopping for your first house, and have a strategy and have a plan. And investing is a great way to go that will get you where you want to be. Figure out where you want to be when you're retired and work backwards. But
Yes.
real estate is probably the best way to get there.
Well, can I tell you, if you're young right now, if you're in your teens or your 20s, now is the time to start figuring.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not that you have to have it all figured out, but right now you could do what seems much more like very little, and it accumulates to so much so very quickly
Yeah.
because you have time.
And just think about possibilities. You don't have to lock into anything,
No.
but just consider the possibilities that are available to you.
Yeah.
Because
Go the
there's
Jerry
some
Miller
that,
route.
there's some that work better than others.
Keith says, don't bust on the mustaches, guys. He's watching the program right now. Nest, Logan
Aren't you
Foster,
supposed to be testing, Keith?
and Christie's. Hello, welcome to the show. Keith says, but at the end of the day, what we do daily is we educate our buyers, our sellers in the marketplace. I mean, you guys are, I say this often on the show, you guys are rock stars. I mean, you are the compass or the North Star for couples and individuals and families and investors through what is the most difficult decision of their lives besides who they marry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
got
most
nothing for you
difficult
on
one
that.
is who you're going to marry and then what you guys do. I mean, you are the marriage counselor for real estate. It's essentially what you guys are doing right there. I mean, it's just a lot of
It's kinda
responsibility,
true,
and you
but
guys
I don't
are
like it
great
being
at
put
it.
that way.
In this market right now,
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing. We get to do this. It's not that we have to do this. We get to do this. And
Yes.
we're very
So
fortunate.
much
We're
of
very
that.
blessed to be able to do this on a day-to-day
Day in and
basis.
day out.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
mean, it ain't for the faint of heart. There are long hours. I mean, you put a lot into it, So it's hard not to get emotionally invested with your clients because this is a big process of their life. But we have to back up and understand that we're the professionals here. We're the voice of reason. So
Yes.
when helping our clients, we have to realize that and kind of give them the best guidance. And, that's why we study. That's why we train. We do continuing ed for these reasons right here so that we know the Virginia law. We know the laws of real estate. We know the market. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. When I go home and I study. I watch other salespeople. I watch how the real estate market is moving. So we're very blessed to be able to do this and help our clients.
And I think you have to do that to really be at the top of your game. And I've said it several times, but this is a very human, emotional sort of transactional business where you are not just dealing with dollars and cents. You're dealing with people's futures. You're dealing with their hopes and dreams. You're dealing with potentially, the opportunities that will be available for their kids educationally and in other ways. And you need to take it very seriously. And you need to take your own emotion out of the equation and serve them. And when you do that, what is like Zig Ziglar said, you can get everything you want by helping other people get everything
So much.
they want.
Yes.
When you do that, it feels great. It feels wonderful, and people are successful, and everybody wins.
I was talking to someone about this last night. I was like, there is nothing like that feeling of helping someone
Oh, yeah.
through that process and being on closing day and them having arrived. It is
Yeah.
the most amazing thing.
Yep.
how about this one from Daniel McDougall? He's in the mortgage business. He watches the shows often, D-Mac, you make the shows better. He goes, unfortunately, the housing market has gone from Match.com to Tinder.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good evaluation.
And he's giving the laughing emojis over here.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. So how about this comment for you guys?
Dan.
Do we, this is a good one, in the back half of 2023, will we see potentially a resurgence of the spring market with rates getting higher and higher? We talked about this in the beginning of the show some. This is from Jennifer, who's watching the program, and she's asking, should we wait and renew leases now if there's not anything for us to buy that we can afford? That's a good question.
Okay, well, I think treating it as an absolute that there is nothing you can afford may be, and I'm not, I don't know Jennifer's situation, but I would make sure that's actually the reality. And maybe that requires talking to more than one person. And again, sitting down and sort of talking to yourself and evaluating what's really important to me and how can I maybe make this work in some fashion? Because I don't think it's going to get better, in terms of prices dropping or rates dropping dramatically in the short term. And by that, I mean several years. And so this probably, not that tomorrow is going to be bad necessarily, but this is probably as good as it is right now. And so if you can act now, you should.
Do you think the same?
Well, I think it really just depends on the situation. If you're 60 days from, your lease running out,
yeah,
I think you're a little bit too late to be jumping on the
Absolutely.
bandwagon at this point. I think, but if we, like I said earlier, if we talk to them early and often and we get them prepared for what's really coming down the pipeline, I think they stand a much better chance to getting and securing a home that they want and need. But if you're that far away from your lease running out, I think that it would be beneficial to do that. And then you have that entire 6 month or a year, whatever your lease is going to be, to prepare for the next. From being down payments or closing costs that you may need, that'll give you a little bit of time to save up. But if you're that close to your lease renewing, I say, yeah, go ahead and renew your lease, because you're going to have to compete in this market. Even with the interest rates going up, I still feel like it's a good deal. Talking to Rob.
I would say, though, that before you just renew, talk to your landlord, see if they feel any flexibility. If you could gain another 2, in a circumstance like that, if you could gain another 2 months, maybe that's what it takes.
There are so many creative solutions like that. Just asking. Ask. What are my options? What can I do? Where can you find flexibility?
It's always going to be no if you don't ask. Or
that's
you're subject to whatever the person wants to, whatever card you're dealt.
Yes.
Me, Nikki, and Rob were having a conversation the other day. Every decade or has their challenges, right? 80s were high interest rates. 90s had their own challenges. The 2008. Every market has their own challenges, but we adapt and we overcome, and we do what is best for our clients, and we make it work.
Yeah, it's like Nikki relating about her bus job, how glad she was it didn't work out. That's life. How many times are you look back and go, wow, glad that thing I was
and I was
really
so mad
pounding.
it didn't work out when it didn't.
That's life. And so you evaluate, you look at all your options, you surround yourself with capable and knowledgeable people, whatever the question is, and then you have your A game and your B game, and you move forward. And if it works out, that's great. You did the hard work, and if it doesn't work out, you gave it your best shot. But
2-part question for you guys. Which you mentioned you study when you get to the house.
Yeah.
What realtors are you studying? What tactics are you studying? And also, who do you guys look up to in the industry?
So for me, Ryan Serhant, I watch him. I think he's a great agent.
$1 listing.
Yeah.
He's got his own firm now, Serhant.
Yeah, so I watch what he does. He's a monster on social media and just all media platforms. So I watch what he does. I need to get better about posting myself, and that's part of my business plan coming up. I take it up from outside industries as well. Grant Cardone is one of my favorites. He's in the business of
commercial
sales.
investor.
Yeah, commercial investor, but it's all real estate related. And I look to some of the local real estate agents. There's a lot of great agents in this industry doing a lot of great things. So, me and Kyla, we look at Facebook pages, we look at Instagram posts, and we try to
Who locally? Curiosity.
I think Story House is doing a great job. Denise Ramey and her team are doing great. I look at all the KW agents that are doing great. Cody Persinger and his group are doing well. He does very well on social media, but I also do, the KW, we just recently went to family reunion, and I talk about mind-blowing experiences. Like, I've been thinking too little for too long. I've only been a full-time agent going on 4 years now. I mean, March was my 3-year anniversary, but I was a part-time agent for a year as a contractor and a kitchen and bath designer. But I realized that I've been thinking too small for too long. When I'm seeing these people walk across the stage with $100 million in GCI, I'm like, wow.
GCI?
Yeah.
Gross commission income.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, these people are really doing something special, and they're only a team of 15, and I'm like, wow, how do you do that? Kaleo, right?
Yeah, Kaleo. He's great. He's over in Chesapeake.
When I was watching him on stage, he was talking about how he built his team in 5 years, and he closed $85 million in transactions this year. And I was like, man, this guy must be from New York or California. No, he's in the state of Virginia. I got to meet with him, and he's a great guy, and he'll answer any of my questions. So, I just think that we're very blessed.
Yeah.
And I would say that, and I can learn something from most any of the producing agents here in Charlottesville, and we're blessed to have such high caliber people scattered through all the brokerages.
Yes.
Keller Williams, I love, and I look outside for learning opportunities. But when I am done learning everything Gary Keller already knows, then I will find the next person, because Keller Williams is a training and technology company disguised as a real estate firm. Gary Keller is brilliant, and it's not just about real estate, but he knows real estate. And I would encourage anybody that just wants to get a take on how you can improve yourself inside or outside the industry to look at some of the things he said. And it's a little bit, what do they call it, drinking the Kool-Aid kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I find a great deal of value in the materials that Keller Williams provides for learning opportunities and whatnot.
What do you think?
Gosh, for me, when I first got started, my first go-to person was Donna Patton.
She's watching.
She was my first managing broker.
Yep.
She is my work mom, and she's my friend.
Yeah.
And I stuck with her and Tom Wolfolk, who was the person that I first met that was a realtor that introduced me to Donna. I just happened to be lucky enough to be around people that knew what they were doing, and ended up having drinks with Quentin Beckham, right? And meeting that guy the first time, I was like, I don't know this dude at all, but he is definitely someone I want to know. And it's just been the craziest ride since. So I knew I liked people. I knew I wanted to be ethical. I knew I wanted to help people, but I knew nothing about real estate or how to do it or how to run that type of business. I could run a business, but when it came to this type of business, I was just, no, I don't want to do that. And by year 3, I was like, oh crap, they were right. Yeah. I'm doing that and it's working, right? So it's just been an amazing ride, and I can't wait to see what the future holds, being able to work with people like Rob Peary and Carrie Griggs and talking to them about where they want to go and what they want to build and achieve. And no two people want to grow and build the same thing, and they can each do what it is they want to do.
Well, I agree with Nikki. Those people that she just mentioned, Donna Patton and Quentin Beckham, have helped guide me through some difficult times. And, they've really given me a lot of guidance in becoming a top-notch real estate agent. And I hope to be one of the biggest producers here in the Charlottesville area. That is my goal.
Got it, man.
So I'm coming for everything. And they're two, and they're two great people to have with you. Donna keeps me out of trouble, and Quentin is there for encouragement. And they really are just wonderful people to be around. And I'm very truly happy to have them as my brokers. But I'm coming for it all.
I love it. Bring it. I freaking love that. How about this question? Let's talk brand and social media.
Okay.
Personal brand and social media footprint, and the importance it is for what you guys do for a living. Who wants to start with that? Personal brand, personal and professional brand, and social media reach and footprint,
Well,
and how important it is.
I'll start because I probably have less to contribute on that. As I mentioned earlier, my wife and I are a team, have been for 15 years, and I've relied on her to the point where it's probably an unfair burden to her to handle the social media aspect of our business. What we need and what we're working on is a more systematic approach to it. And there's plans in place as we're gearing up. And frankly, we're considering rebranding because when we started, and our team, our license is Hegarty and Peary Real Estate Partners. Her last name, my last name. And that's a mouthful. It's hard to remember, and it ties our brand to us specifically, and so growth is maybe hindered a bit by that. To wrap it up, we're thinking of rebranding because we realize there's room for improvement there.
Any ideas? Any you want a tip? No teasers? No?
No.
Wait till you own the domain, man.
Okay.
Wait.
And,
Got a lot of people watching you right here.
I know. And secondly, on social media, I'll just say, Maureen, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to do better. So, but we are gonna try to leverage that to a greater degree.
Because you bring up Ryan Serhant.
Yeah.
And I follow Serhant on social.
Me too.
Facebook, on Instagram, on all the platforms.
Yep.
I love Frederick Eklund. I love Ryan Serhant. I love the Joshes, $1 Million Listing LA. I mean, and the thing that strikes me immediately with them, along with huge commissions, is how brand conscious they are.
Yeah.
24/7, 365. Those guys live and eat and drink and breathe their brand, and so do their team members.
Yeah, and I think it's super important because this is, if you watch those guys, and I try to do it myself, they are all brand, that is what they stand for, that's who they are. I'm not so great at having a separate Facebook page and a personal Facebook page. It is all me all the time. And I try to live that and try to represent it well. And so a lot of my real estate related posts end up on my personal page, just without even ending up on my real estate page, because this is me all day, every day. This is my brand, and I try to make it proud. I think social media is such a huge influence with people. I mean, you think about it, we're on the screen about 2 hours a day. Right? I mean, on average, and everybody is looking at content, and we are in a generation where information is just coming at you all the time. So I think it's very important to have a social media presence and just have a great brand. Stand behind it, create something that you're proud of, and let that carry you throughout wherever you need to do. Ryan Serhant is a great example of that.
Well said. And where I've really seen it, and we should highlight this, is with Coming Soon. Like these Coming Soon properties are hitting social media before their active listings, and the buzz is palpable and tangible before they hit the MLS.
Yeah,
that process can be really, really helpful, and a lot of it. I mean, any of these things we're talking about is about being strategic.
Yeah.
So, and that social media aspect, that technology aspect, is incredibly important. We have a full-time tech trainer because that's important, right?
Yeah.
We have a class this month and next that is going to be teaching people how to use TikTok for their real estate business.
Kara's doing that.
Right,
Yep.
Kara Bass, who was on the show, what was that, a couple weeks ago?
Sure.
Yeah,
it feels like it was the week ago, but it wasn't. But doing that is widely important. It is so important to be able to engage that and use it intentionally.
Sure.
I think anything you're going to do, if you work it, it will work.
Right.
So if you're going to do a post here and there, and they're like, oh, social media, it's like, oh, well, you're doing it wrong.
Well, because the biggest, and I'm gonna get out of your way.
No,
'cause I
it's
know you have
okay.
something
Yeah,
to
sorry,
say.
yeah.
The biggest buyer pool right now is millennials, and as millennials continue to push into the market and the generations below it, you and I are relatively the same age here.
Yeah.
Dude,
gonna
we
say, you're millennials,
grew
right?
up. I mean, this was in my hand since I was 17.
Yeah. Me
Okay,
too.
so this is like an immersive experience that pretty much all we know, and it's becoming, I'm talking 9.5 hours a day for me.
Yeah.
Now, this is my livelihood.
Right.
So it's a little
Yes.
different. But what was on your brain here? You wanted to add something. You wanted to add something.
So consistency is key. I will say that, they pick up on the algorithm. So the consistency is key. So, you have to be strategic about it, posting around the same time of day. And the content that you put out, follow the trends. I heard that, I think it might have been, I don't know if I could say the listings itself on there, but a winery was up for sale for $75 million. And
I could say it. You're talking Mount Ida.
Yep, and then so from what I heard, they actually found their agent from TikTok, and I was like, what? And I looked at his TikTok page. It was a great little TikTok page, and he had all the luxury listings on there of his TikToks, and I was like, wow, that's really amazing. And you'll find more and more agents are doing that, and I'm like, wow, that's great. Like I said, Ryan Serhan does YouTube and Instagram, and Facebook seems to be his main platforms, but TikTok, I see that's huge coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, and depending on what age group, you're going to have more of a focus on different social media platforms, right? Whether you're TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, we all know exactly which age groups are more likely to be on each of those platforms,
that is
right?
true.
And the younger ones who are on Facebook are only there because people like me or their mom, and so they have to be because I ask them to be, right? Or I'm on there for my family, like my dad and my mom are on there too, right? So, the impact is there. But also, you can't wait for it to be perfect. If you're trying to be perfect with what you're doing, you're never going to do it.
I heard somebody at family reunion said that your mediocre post is better than someone's non-existent post. And I was like, well, that's great.
You know what?
I love that one right
Perfection is the enemy of productivity.
Yes.
And what we've noticed, being in the branding business, is folks overthink brands so much that it leads, it yields paralysis of analysis, and then nothing gets done.
Yeah.
It is a dangerous rabbit hole to jump down.
Get it out there, and get it out there fast and hard. How about this one? What do you guys think of the coming soon approach to listings now?
Well, I like it. It gives you some flexibility, and it does create that buzz. It's a tremendous amount of energy.
And I didn't mean to interrupt here. Will you give, for those that don't know the business like we do, the coming soon opportunity that's out there?
So if you're listing a property and the seller agrees to it, you can, you can have a listing in the MLS as a coming soon status rather than active status or maybe sold status once it's closed, that is only available to agents. So only agents can see it. But what it does is...
And you can post it on social media.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
So the marketplace sees it.
Yeah.
Because the marketplace is more there than the MLS.
Yeah, and agents can share it with their clients. But what it does is it builds an energy and a buzz around the listing, and it also helps people get where they go like, okay, I'm not going out of town this weekend because that house on Oak Grove is going to hit active on Friday. Yep. And it allows the buyers to get ready, and it allows you to get a lot of energy around your listings for your clients. And then when they go active, it's like, boom, buyers are there, line out the door, offers in hand. And it takes a lot of stress out of, if you can sell a house in a weekend and get top dollar for your selling client or your listing client, then you've done them a huge favor instead of having it drag out over weeks. And I think coming soon listings are a critical part of that strategy, making it happen.
Yes.
You? You like it?
Well, so at first I didn't
I
like it.
saw some hesitation from you.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't like it at first because, like I said, I work a lot with buyers, right? My primary focus for this year is going to be turning my attention to the listing side of things because, again, we have to pivot and shift where the business is. So I'm going to really dive in deep on the listing side of things. I think that it helps the sellers get a good price and it sells quickly, But I do think, like Rob was saying, it builds that anticipation up to where everybody is like a frenzy. So I think it's not harmful. I think, you get more buyers in there. So it's more competition for the buyer side of things. And at first, like I said, I didn't like it, but I understand the value in it. It's great for the listing side of things, and it's great for the sellers. It does give the buyers a little bit of heads up, but it also...
It's good for the buyers, too.
It's good for the buyers.
There's two sides to that coin, right?
And I think it's also important that part of the reason that came about is because there were pocket listings.
Yeah.
It's part of the Clear Cooperation initiative.
Should tell them what a pocket listing is.
So a pocket listing is if a seller comes to me and says, I want to sell this house for this price, and can you find me a buyer? And like maybe you shoot an email out to 500 of the 1,000 agents in Charlottesville, and one of those 500 brings a buyer and they buy it. Well, the other people and the other buyers, they never had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so it levels the playing field a little bit. It gives you the opportunity to do some of the stuff you would have done with a pocket listing, which benefits your seller, while protecting the ability of everybody to compete amongst the buyers.
Well said. Well said, Rob.
Yeah.
I like that.
Good explanation.
Amazing.
Do we think? Yeah, dude, you guys are legit.
I love Rob.
I love
Rob,
Carrie.
you guys.
It's a love
You guys
fest
are
today.
good.
It's
We love
lovely.
each other. It's great.
Here's an interesting one, and we'll wind down. First, we'll get some final thoughts. Before we get to final thoughts, it's from Kelsey, who watches the show routinely.
Nice.
I'm seeing listings more on my social media than I do on the car website. What she's referencing, for those who don't know, the car website is the public-facing version of the MLS. So she says, I'm seeing listings on social media and on Zillow more than I do on the car website. It shows how important it is, and I know our moms group is following that very closely.
Yeah.
That's what she adds.
Yes. So real quick, I just want to clarify, this is not our Kelsey Waters, who is our Market Center Administrator and
I
Director of
got you.
Value.
Oh, no.
This is Kelsey, who has been a longtime viewer and
Yeah,
contributor to the show.
for sure.
We are so glad she's here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It allows people to get their stuff out there. And again, if you're following some of these Facebook pages or these social media posts, Instagram's a real good one too. It does allow people to get their listings out there and to the consumers faster, and it does build that anticipation for it. So there are goods to it. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan at first because I was helping the buyer side of things, and so the less competition they had, the better.
Yeah.
So I got really good at competing with the buyer side of things. But there is some benefits to it as well.
Well, and I think social media is, and just to back up a little bit, I wasn't saying that my team doesn't do social media. I'm just saying the burden falls on half of the team. But social media
It's
is
your better half.
The better half by far. But
His wife, guys.
social media. Social media is hugely important for the very reasons that Kelsey said. That's a lot of where people, for better or worse, get their news and get their information and see listings. But remember, it's possible that you're not seeing, the MLS and even some of the third-party providers that spider off the MLS have everything. In Facebook, doesn't, because it's all dependent on who's posting what. And so if you're really trying to cast a wide net and make sure you're not missing properties, I would diversify your sources a little bit.
Well said.
Make sure you're seeing everything.
Well said.
That's awesome.
And she's right. Kelsey, it's Kelsey Long from the moms group that my wife is a part of in the
Nice.
neighborhood.
Well, and a lot of
the moms group is
people-
84 people long, and a lot of them are watching right now on the
Yes.
show.
Nice.
Well, and those
Right.
moms groups, the homeschool groups, the groups that are on Facebook that gather and they talk about things intensively, let me tell you,
They're
if you're-
hugely
Powerful.
influential.
They're-
Very powerful.
Yeah.
And they're going to share information and they trust each other. I will tell you, a lifeline for me as I moved around being in the military and then a military spouse was tying into these groups before there were Facebook groups. I don't remember what they were. I just know they existed and they were my lifeline. And before I moved to a new place, I knew all sorts of things about it. I already had a social group there that I didn't necessarily know, but we were military family, so I did, right? And to be able to tie into a group like that is a huge value add. So don't discount that in any way. And they will help spread information, and whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and we'll be honest about it.
Mass
Well said.
email.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Mass email.
You guys are great. Fantastic work. We are an hour and 15 minutes in, and the time is absolutely flying by. Guys, we'll close with some final thoughts here, and I'm sorry if we can't get to all these questions. We're mindful of their time. Your wife says nobody, and I mean nobody, forgets Rob Peary.
Amen to that. No one forgets it.
Awesome. Thanks.
And you know
Maureen,
what?
we
Don't
love you,
argue
Maureen.
with Mo either,
Mo.
because she's
Yeah.
right. I'm just
She's
saying.
awesome.
Let's go with Rob first. How about some closing thoughts over there with those center cameras?
All right. Well, I would just reiterate what we've talked about all day. It's not doom and gloom out there. There's tremendous opportunity. You just have to be flexible, be ready to pivot, surround yourself with good people and a good realtor, a good lender, and have a plan, and you will be successful.
Karen?
I agree with that. Just no doom and gloom. It's still a very positive environment to be in. I think there's opportunity in all kinds of pockets. We just have to think about it, talk often, talk early, and just stay positive. It is coming around the corner. It's golden. I think we got a lot of potential coming down the pipeline, and I just wanted to say to my wife and my kids, I love you guys. Thank you.
Nikki.
That's awesome. I think this came up in our pre-show conversation, our pre-show coffee we had at Guajiros, which is an amazing
Excellent.
place.
Excellent.
Plug, family-owned, local business.
Love
Guajiros,
Guajiros.
they're
That was
amazing.
awesome, yeah.
I could just
Crazy.
eat there all the time. All the time, nonstop. Okay, anyway, now I'm hungry, thanks. I did it to myself. The reality is that in any challenge, and there are challenges because that's life, right? If you're not running into challenges, then I'm guessing you don't have a pulse. Truly, right? There is opportunity. There's opportunity to be found in anything. And if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to find. So I think in this market, like you've heard Rob and Carrie say, and they're right, there's opportunity there. This is not no hope. Is it challenging? Absolutely. And there are amazing creative ways with really great local trusted advisors who can help you with that.
Well said.
Yeah.
Judah, thank you very much for putting this together.
Thanks, brother.
The man behind the camera, Judah Wickower, Nikki Chambliss put the panel together and did
love my
another
people,
hell
y'all.
of a job on a Monday with this panel.
These guys make it easy. I mean,
I'm sincerely and genuinely loving the Monday panels. Seriously.
Me too.
I like the diversity. And Rob and Carrie, you guys are fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thanks for
Thanks,
having
man.
us.
You guys are great.
Did you enjoy it? It was a lot of fun?
I did.
Yeah, it was excellent.
A lot of fun. I think we're seeing you Wednesday.
Yep.
Wednesday,
Nice.
guys.
Wednesday, yeah.
Sweet.
On this show at 10:15 a.m. on Wednesday. I'm Jerry for Rob, Carrie, Nikki, and Judah, and Liza, our mascot. This is Real Talk presented by Keller Williams Alliance. The I Love Seville show is up in 58 minutes. Take care. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.